Well, joining us now is the former Director of Professional Standards for the Metropolitan Police. That's Stephen Roberts. Hello to you, Mr. Roberts. Thank you for joining us. Intrigued to know your comments on this story today.
I think what we have to remember is that at the heart of this, there is a desperately anxious family, and we need to be very, very careful that nothing that we do, nothing that we say, and nothing that politicians or the media say makes their situation worse. The media can help. The senior investigating officer needs public awareness, needs to find perhaps that one person who has a little item of evidence that he may or may not even know that he has, perhaps a dash cam piece of film. So there needs to be public awareness. It needs to be kept in front of the public. But the SIO has a very difficult job balancing that need to attract media attention with the needs of the privacy of the family and the needs to not hinder the investigation with rumour, by disclosing anything that might help the investigation. So it's a very difficult balance to strike. And police officers have become very used to the idea that what they do must be transparent. Well, that isn't always possible in a major investigation like this. Sometimes it's absolutely essential to keep some details back from the public. The public may be interested, and the police require the public to be interested, but there is not a public interest in everything being disclosed.
Do you think it was reasonable, though? I mean, there's been a lot of criticism, not least from the Home Secretary, it would appear, and the Shadow Home Secretary, about the sort of very personal detail about this missing lady, Nicola Bulley, and the impact that that has had on her family.
Absolutely. As soon as I heard the first question being answered, the statement that Ms. Bulley had specific vulnerabilities, it was blindingly obvious, I have to say, that the next question was going to be, well, what are those vulnerabilities? What we don't know and what we should not judge at this stage is why that disclosure was made. It may simply have been ill-judged. And whilst I hate criticising my former colleagues, it may simply have been a misjudgment, and a bad misjudgment at that. But there may be some basic reason within the investigation, within the other information that the police already have, that made it helpful to make that disclosure. We simply cannot judge at this stage. And I just heard your crime correspondent saying what the police and what the senior investigating officer need now is a period of calm where they're allowed to get on with their job without interference from politicians and without amateur detectives second-guessing the investigation.
Yeah, that was Martin Brunt who was making those comments. I'm sure that many people would also agree with you as well. But of course, there might be a moment where, you know, the police have to accept that they may never find her.
Oh, absolutely, that's the case. And we can think back over decades to missing persons cases where the person who disappeared was never found. Sometimes that is so. Sometimes there simply isn't any evidence, any physical evidence, any human evidence of what has happened to an individual. Sometimes, tragically, we and families are left with that mystery that is never solved.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Very much appreciated.